link.
Oh, yeah. So the next top story was Bitcoin Policy Institute, possible red flag. This was from Justin Shocknet, 2 comments, 1,872 cents, Bitcoin territory. So you want to explain this?
Yeah, so I think Justin has a suspicion that some of the Bitcoin Policy Institute might be
Connected to the deep state.
Yeah, sort of like, I don't know what you would call it, like some kind of intelligence operation is kind of what he's implying. I don't really think that way about things, but I know that kind of stuff does happen, so I don't want to say this isn't that. He shared some things that, kind of loosely associate him, which is the best you can probably do in these situations.
I think Justin's the only person I know that actually looks at this the right way. And so there was a post earlier this week, and there's a lot of weird shit at Bitcoin, man. Especially I would say in the past 2 to 3 years, it's just been becoming more apparent to me. Like there's just a lot of weird handling that's going on in the Bitcoin space, and it's just really spooky. And it's only gotten more spookier over time. And, I usually try to stay away from talking about it unless it makes the top 5. But this one's just like so coincidental with everything else that's going on. And so this came out and I had like a quick little kind of jab. I was like, oh, fiat Bitcoiners always trying to find the next bigger wave. Didn't think much of it. And I said this 1 sat per 1 sat thing, and I've been talking about that on Stacker.News. And then Coins Reporter said, well, what do you mean? Is he a shitcoin? And I was like, I don't want to get into this whole thing on Stacker.News. It's not worth it. And I just tagged Justin Shocknet because I know Justin will explain. He'll take more brevity to like explain everything. And so he goes into everything. If you want to read, go for it. Like he explains the whole, all that stuff. And so go back into this. He talks about Matthew Pines here, and even Darth Coin says you don't need policy, you don't need a blessing, you don't need permission, you don't need a politician, all this stuff. And Justin explains that, some people watch football or basketball or these other kind of sports stuff. He watched psyops. So this is kind of his sports for him. He likes doing this stuff. And this just kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier is like, these people aren't going to save you. And when I think what Darth is saying, like these people that you're voting to power, Trump, these people that you look up to, these people that you parrot, like these influencers, even us, including us, like you really have to think about what this collapse is going to look like. Cause like I'm telling you, Keyan, like post this collapse, man, it's going to be bad. And I wasn't thinking like this. And, we have somebody inside of Club Lab that always talks like this, but like, I really do think it's coming sooner rather than later now. And I think the people around you, the people that you care about, your friends, like those are the people that you're going to have to lean on. Those are the people that are going to be the ones that you're going to lean on. And those are the people that are the most important. And so that's what I would say is like this type of stuff, it's not going to matter. That's what I would say about that. Even if it is a deep state thing, it's just not going to matter.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've seen some interest. I've shared quite a bit of content from Bitcoin Policy Institute. I do think they put out some decent content on Bitcoin as it relates to governments, and I think they advocate for pro-Bitcoin things. I haven't been following the bond stuff. I'm kind of checking out of this financialization stuff. I don't have an appetite for it. It's like the thing that I came to Bitcoin for was to get away from this kind of stuff. So, but I understand it's like what everyone is about now. And I guess, people are trying to get, even if it was spook or not, I don't know. That's like a separate conversation, but if people are trying to get the government more involved in Bitcoin stuff. And so there's a number of ways that they're trying to do that. These bit bonds are one way. We have these, public company things. We have the strategic Bitcoin reserve. We have all these kind of new vectors for getting the United States government involved in Bitcoin. And I don't know who. Like I don't know what. I think incentives explain it pretty well why that's happening.
Would you say the government controls the internet?
I think they have more control over it than we would think, because there are parts of the internet infrastructure that aren't as decentralized as you would hope, and it's just the reality of the way it works. There's quite a bit of trust in parts of the internet's architecture that were just convenient and we never removed. But if are you suggesting that they might do something to the internet?
No, I'm just saying, like, do you think they control the internet? Like, do you think the government
Controls it? How?
like
I was speaking technically.
technically, yeah. Like, do you think deep state technically controls the internet?
Are they? You mean they're manipulating the internet, or
Sure,
have the
sure.
ability to manipulate
Sure,
the internet?
sure.
I don't believe they're actively manipulating the internet. I think that's one of the problems, is it would be obvious.
And then that's where I feel about this stuff. I think that's the best way to explain all this stuff, is like, it's not going to matter. I don't think all this stuff is going to matter in like 3 to 5 years, even 10 years out. It's not going to matter, because Bitcoin's not going to care that the United States government is trying to control it or trying to do something to it. It's just not going to matter. That's why I think none of this stuff is important in the long term. And I think it's just a lot of waste of time and money and effort, if I'm being completely honest. And that's kind of where I'm trying to get people to realize that, like, we're talking about this now, but it's just not going to matter.
Well, I don't think it doesn't matter. So I think it's a lot like, it's like the argument you're making is a lot like the guy in 1990 who's like, all of the stuff we're doing on AI right now doesn't matter because in 50 years from now we'll have really good AI. So we don't really need to care too much about what we're doing right now. But the reality is we don't get to that point in 50 years without all these failures. And I agree with you that I don't think these things really will succeed in any way that matters relative to Bitcoin.
Well, I think AI is different though, Keyan. That's different because that's a technology that. Hang on, let me get my thoughts together. I think that's a different type of technology than like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's more of a protocol that doesn't require humans.
It does require humans.
Well, hang on, let me think. You threw me for a loop here.
The trajectory, my point is that technology has like a trajectory and it tends to get better. And it tends to get better. Once it starts getting better, it gets better faster. And then it gets better faster than that as a result of it getting better. And so, that's kind of the same. That's the comparison that I'm drawing, is that Bitcoin is going to get better because it's technology and there are lots of people working on it trying to make it better. And AI had the same thing where it's like there were periods of time where people were failing a lot with it, trying to get people to understand it, failing to do that. I think Bitcoin is going through.
I think it's a different one than AI. Because AI took way longer than Bitcoin. I think more internet's more of a perfect analogy to Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I think for Bitcoin to be a medium exchange, it'll take just as long as AI took to get to where we're regularly using it now.
Maybe. Because I feel like some of the same like arguments that we're having with Bitcoin are the same arguments we had with the internet in the 90s, DMCA, all that kind of crap, all that stuff, and none of it mattered in the end.
I mean, it's all metaphor or analogy. Nothing's going to line up perfectly.
Yeah, for sure.
My main point is I think people taking swings at a variety of approaches to getting Bitcoin to have better adoption, better understanding is just going to happen.
Yeah. I think if anything, it just ruined reputations at that time. Like, and I remember like the Metallica thing. It's like it just ruined Metallica's reputation.
I don't know whose reputation this kind of stuff is going.
Oh, I'm not talking about them. I mean, like